Hey, this is Paul with Go 50 at 50. During the process of doing my 50 at 50, I edited videos. I did a lot of videos. I actually did over 50 different rounds, but 50 different courses in my 50th year, and came up with a system for how I edit my videos. Videos take a lot of time to edit. A golf round is a long time. There's multiple shots. When you add shot tracer, maps, overlays, and music, things like that, it can take some time. So I came up with my own system for doing that. It may not be the best system, but it's the system I use, and I thought I'd share that with you guys, and that's what we're going to do right now. After doing this a while, the first thing I realized I needed was to get organized. So the first thing I did is over time I created a folder structure. So when I go to a new course, I drop that folder structure on my drive, and then I have places to put everything. After I've done with the project, I can then grab that whole folder and put it on a hard drive to back it up. So this is my template folder right here. And if we open that up, you'll see I have different directories created. I have an export, a footage, a maps, music and sound, overlays, shot tracer, and stills. I'll go through each folder and explain what I use them for. So export, that's your export directory. After you're done with your project, that's where I'm exporting that final project to, whether that be vertical video or something for YouTube. Next folder down is my footage directory. That's where I'm going to take that camera footage and put in that location. If I have multiple cameras, I may actually add additional folders under the footage folder just to keep that similar camera footage right next to each other. Then we have maps. If I'm doing map overlays, that's where I'm going to store my maps for the course. Music and sound, if I've downloaded any music, adding any sound effects, anything like that, that's where I'm keeping those. Then I have my overlays. These are my scoring overlays. Originally, I used to do it in Premiere, and I created a template that had little drop downs to do the score all within Premiere. Well, what I found is it was slowing the software down incredibly. So what I now do is I take that my overlays for scoring into Photoshop, and I'll go through that whole process with you as well. Then I have my shot tracer. I use Shot Tracer Pro. That's where I'm going to put all of those imported and exported shots into there. And then the final one is just stills. The stills is any logos from the courses, any photos or anything like that, other types of media that are stills, maybe stuff for the thumbnail. That's where I'm going to put that stuff. All right, now I'm going to copy my templates and put it in my projects directory, which I did just then. And these are actually the DJI files, pocket files from a course I just played. So I'm going to copy those all. Control A, select all, Control C, copy. Command if you're on a Mac. I do both. And let's go back to here. And again, I'm going to throw that in footage. And we're going to put all of that stuff right there. If I had multiple cameras, I would actually, underneath footage, name the cameras I'm using so I can keep that footage separate if I needed it for any reason. You'll actually still see that it's still named template. So I'm actually going to come in here. I'm going to do 50 at 50. I used to put round 51, 52, whatever it happens to be. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to do Marina and Pocket Test. This was a test on the Pocket 3 footage that I took, so I'll just call this one Pocket Test. What I would normally do is batch everything. So I would batch all of my edits in Premiere. I'll do all of my shot traces together. I'll do all of my overlays together, and batching them together really speeds up the workflow. If you're switch tasking all the time, it's just not a smooth way of editing. So some things take longer than others. Probably the longest thing to do will be to process the shot tracers. Shot tracers make it really interesting for somebody who is watching, but it is a lot of extra work. So we're just going to do, I would normally do the whole round. We're just going to do the first hole so you get the idea of the workflow. So let's get cracking. So let's launch Adobe Premiere. Whatever software you like to use, you can definitely use. DaVinci Resolve is free. I use Premiere. I have the Adobe suite, so that's why I do that. I pay the monthly fee and all of that. Other people, like, they're on the Mac. Final Cut, haven't used it in a few years, but what a great piece of software as well. So whatever you're comfortable with, that's a piece of software that you should use until that piece of software doesn't do what you need it to do. So don't have anybody tell you, you have to use this. Use whatever you want to, as long as you can get the job done and it works for you. So let's create, going to open up Premiere. And we'll create a new project. Now, before I was saying I want everything in that folder structure, and we want to do the same thing right now. So I want to create this project in my folder that I created in my projects. And then when I'm done with this whole process at the end of the night or the end of the week or whenever it is, I can export that, copy that as a backup, and you'll never have files that, oh no, I'm you know, I want to go back and edit something and I've deleted something or it's not in the same place. This way you'll make sure that you always have all the files you need. So we're going to new. We do not want it in Pony Club. We want to put it in the Marina Pocket Test. I'm going to put it in that root folder. That's fine right there. Give it a meaningful name. You don't want untitled, untitled, untitled. You need to know what you're working on. So I'm going to give it a meaningful name. Often, if you give it a date at the front, that's a great way of doing it. Date and then the course name. I'm going to put Marina Pocket 3 Test because that's what I'm doing right now. And you can import your media now, but I'm just going to create it. I'm going to do a Control S to save. Control S is your best friend. If you're ever at your machine, you're thinking about something or whatever, just hit Control S, save the work that you're doing, and then continue editing. All right, so I have everything there. 2 ways to bring in footage. I could always use the import media, but I'm just going to drag my media. I'm going to go to my footage folder. I've made sure it's organized. So my first tee shot is higher on the list and then other shots are below it. So just make sure you change it by date modified, and that's the order. Then I can select those two, drag it over, and they'll end up being in the correct order in the timeline. If you just go to the folder, drag stuff over, it may be like completely the wrong order. So just make sure you do organize by that field. All right, so first shot of the day, I often do more of a narration over the shot. So this one we'll give it a second right here. And we're going to start it right there. So of course I would have put all of the golf shots for the whole round in here. I'll go through and do this primary edit all the way through, and then we'll go on to the shot tracer and other things. Batch editing is the way to go, so I'm going to wait until it lands. And typically if I wait until I pick the tee up, that is often a good place to move it over. All right, so I am using the Pocket 3, Osmo Pocket 3. It doesn't have a zoom. Well, it does have a zoom, but it's a digital zoom. So I just shot it wide open, and then I'm going to zoom a little in the software. It is going to be a little pixelated. I did shoot at 4K, also shot at 60 frames a second, so I could try some slow-mo as well, but that'll be a different video. So yeah, at 4K, I'll be able to zoom in a little bit, and that will definitely make up for the lack of zoom. And he's about to putt. So we're cutting out all of the fluff right here. Okay. I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit. I wouldn't want to go over 200, because then it really is going to get pixelated. We're going to go up to, let's go up to 200 right here. I had this camera on my cart. If I had a tripod, I could have put it gently on the green and got a little bit closer with the camera, but as I had the cart, I didn't want to walk that on. So we're going to go ahead and then look for when I make my second putt. This will do. I'm going to get rid of that space. And we'll call that good. So that's the first hole. I've done a rough edit on that first hole. There's no shot traces, there's no graphics, or there's no anything else. I would do that for the whole timeline, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to export the shots that I want the shot tracer on. Now you can throw them into shot tracer earlier, but they're not going to have meaningful names, and I found a couple of times it was very confusing exactly where they would be in the timeline. So I've come up with my own naming convention for when I do this. So let's select that first one, and we need to put an in point, and then the out point. Make sure you have the snapping to clip ends or whatever it is called turned on, or you're going to drive yourself nuts trying to line it all up. I have that first clip of that first shot selected. I'm going to export. I'm going to make sure my range is source into out. It looks like I already have the shot tracer here. I'm going to get rid of that one. There we go. So with the naming, you want to put the hole and then the shot. So with the hole, so everything lines up throughout 1 through 18. Holes 1 through 9, if you do 0, 1 for the first hole, that's typically the best way to do. So you do 0, 1, dash 1. And then if you had a second shot in the fairway, it was 0, 1, dash 2. But we're going to go 0, 1, dash 1. Checking it's in the shot tracer piece, and then I'm going to export that. Now, just a word of caution: if you are shooting in D-Log or something like that, make sure you, within your software, make sure that you do your color corrections before the export, because if you then import your shot tracer stuff, when you do color corrections on that imported footage, it'll mess up all your lines. Not mess up where they are, but mess up the colors and stuff like that. So do all of your edits, color edits first, and then do the export to that. So again, I would have done the whole timeline. I would have had every hole. I've done the whole timeline. I've gone through. I've just exported that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to have a real quick look at shot tracer. We'll minimize Premiere real quick. If you have a lower power computer, definitely you can turn off Premiere. That can be completely off while you do this. I'll often do shot tracers when I'm in front of the TV watching TV. The actual export of the shot tracer can take a little bit of time, so I'll often do it watching TV. I'll make the edits, I'll export something, wait for it to be done, then do the next one. It can be a little time consuming. Within shot tracer, you can kind of batch stuff as well. I like to do each shot individually and then export them. So let's open shot tracer. Okay, as shot tracer opens, just something really interesting to know. It's not easy to flip licenses between machines. I edit on my laptop and I edit on my desktop. So at one point, I was on vacation with my laptop and ended up having to buy a second license because you can't easily transfer it from one machine to the other. So with like Premiere or whatever, you can bounce a license around if you use more than one machine. Not something you could do with the shot tracer app. So just bear that in mind. If you have one machine that's your primary editing machine, that's fine. But if you're going to travel or whatever, you may want to look at two licenses or think, okay, is it better that I have it on my laptop so I know if I travel and I need to edit, I can do it, or do I want it on my desktop that's a little bit more powerful? Shot Tracer, it's made for Mac and it's made for PC. I'm on a PC. I've never used it for Mac, so it would be interesting to hear about how that performs. So let's get rid of these old ones and we'll go find that file. Okay, so I'll often, you'll see that I have 47, 48, 49. That was from my 50 at 50. All shots within that one are in there. So let's just do it as a new project. New project. We'll call this Pocket 3 Test. Okay. Right now we have nothing in there. We need to import a video. I'm going to import video. That's not what I want. So if you remember, I exported that from Premiere. I exported into Shot Tracer. So if I go to Shot Tracer, I'll see all my shot tracers. So I'm going to select this first file and I'm going to select open. And now that's going to open the file. It's going to automatically analyze it and it's going to try and find the correct trajectory is the word I'm looking for. It's going to find the right trajectory. All right, so let's select this guy right here. That probably looks pretty good. I'm going to hit play and we're going to have a look at what that looks like. Okay, this was a short par 3. I did not hit it 231 yards. So I'm going to pause it right there. And first thing I like to do is I like to change this to the other side so it's not over my feet. So we're going to move that over to the right. And then I know for a fact that I landed here. It doesn't always get the endpoints right. So that's going to be pretty perfect. The next thing I want to do is find out how far I hit my clubs. So what I use the Arccos system. That is a great way to get some of that distance data. It uses basically a GPS, little things in the end of your clubs. There'll be a link in the description. It's associate link, Amazon associate link. So if you purchase something, I'll get a small little baby bit. But let's open up the web console for that. And this was a round I played on the 24th. So this is the one that I want. I want to edit holes. And this was that first shot. I hit a pitching wedge. I hit it 114 yards. All right, so let me go into here. 114. You will see that when I change that, it did, no, it didn't change the flight time. So with good lighting and things like that, it actually does a lot of the work for you. If for whatever reason, maybe it's a very foggy day or it's not very clear or whatever, there are ways to use the Shot Tracer app to manually create that stuff. I'm not going to go into that right now. There's so many videos that are better than I would be able to do explaining how to do it. If you are interested in Shot Tracer, I'll put a link below so you can go to it. You can watch all the videos that they have. Par Perfection, he uses it. He also does the Shot Tracer on the map, so you should check his stuff out as well. But that's the basic. So I've got my shot done. I'm now going to export that shot. So I'm going to do the current shot. There are various options here. So export as. I want the entire video from start to end. I want that whole sequence because I cut that shot out of my timeline. I exported that and I want this video to fit exactly in there. If, however, you had trim individual shots selected, it would find like the start point of the swing, the end point of the swing, and then cut the video for you, which makes putting the video back together that much harder. So if you make sure you select that entire video start to end, and then we do export current shot. I'm going to put it in exactly the same folder as the shot tracers. So they'll end up being two files with a very, very similar name, and you'll just have to realize the file with a slightly changed name is the one that you're going to use. So at this point, you should go for a cup of coffee or something. I'm going to speed this up, and we'll time it how long it takes. So there you'll see that file is done, and the difference is it goes from, this was the original file, and then this is the edited file, so it'll have the parentheses and 1. Now if you export it, you play the file and you don't like it, if you then make edits within Shot Tracer and export again, that'll become parentheses 2, 3, 4, 5, the multiple edits that you do. Sometimes you'll do the Shot Tracer, you'll think it's fine, you'll play it, and then you'll see that it really didn't follow. So let's just check out that file real quick. And again, this is going to be voiceover content right here. He's got a wedge in his hand, new swing. Thank you, Edson. There we go. So that is the shot tracer right there. Now we need to put that shot tracer in our timeline, and we're going to do that right now. All right. So I have my shot tracer. I can drag and drop. There we go. And I'm dropping this over the top. It does hold on to the audio. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the audio. I'm going to unlink and delete. Now you could completely replace that clip. I like to leave both clips there, and then if for any reason I needed to extend the clip itself, I still have that underneath clip that I can drag and make longer if maybe there was some verbal stuff going on at any point, and I'll just show you what I'm talking about right there. Say maybe I want to extend the after the shot. Now we'll play it. There we go. And then anything after the shot will be done. Now you've seen an interesting thing. It's lagging a little bit right there. If you have any issues in Premiere with it lagging, what you can do, if I go to sequence, render into out, it'll render what's in the timeline or what you've selected to render, and then you'll get smooth playback. And these are 4K files, so they are large files. And now it's going to play smoothly. See here, we'll have the shot tracer. The clip will end, but we kept that original clip. So if I did need to make any extra edits, it's there for me to extend if I need to. So here we go. The shot tracer finishes, but we still have video afterwards. And he's quite happy about something. Perfect. So that is how we do the shot tracer. Again, we would batch edit this. So I would do the whole timeline, and then I would do the individual shots. I'd export them all. I'll go into shot tracer. I'll do them all, bring them all into my timeline, complete the timeline, and then move on to the next part of the edit. All right, so now we're going to create an overlay to tell you about the whole information like that. So that is what we're going to do right now. So here is my basic template. Photoshop is all about layers, and basically each layer is going to be a different aspect of this. So if I scroll up to the top, I can tap in hole number 1. This would be like the first thing that went up. So Richmond Country Club, that's not where we're playing. Normally at the top, I'll put what it is, what the hole is. So I'm going to remove Richmond Country Club, and I've gone through and created all of these various layers. This is the first hole. It is a par 3, so I'm going to put par 3. We don't want that. The first thing, it's a par 3, you want to put how many yards it is to the hole. How many yards the hole is. Use the text tool and change this. This was actually playing 125 today. I'll often have the scorecard open of the course, so I have this information readily available. So par 3, first hole, I'm not -7. I'm going to be even, big E, even, and 125 yards. Once that is done, there's a keyboard shortcut to do an export. So if you hold down Control Alt Shift W, it will bring you to the export. I want to export as a PNG. You want it as a PNG because that's going to give you that transparency. This is in the 4K file workflow. So that original graphic you see there is 4K, and we're just up in that top right hand corner. So I'm going to hit export. You want to export it with a meaningful name. We have that wonderful file structure already, 0, 1-1 for the first shot. 0, 1-2 will be the second shot. 0, 1-3 will be the third shot. Onto the second hole, 0, 2-1. And that way it can stay really organized and you know which ones to drag in. So I want to make sure that I am saving this to that project file that we already set up. And that's going to help you keep your sanity. I'm going to go to my overlays. 0, 1-1. First shot saved. Okay, now I want to do the second shot. So this is the field I'm going to edit. I'm going to remove that. I've already gone through and I've created all of these. So I want to look for birdie. It's in there. Again, Shift, Alt, Control, Shift, W. And export. This was my second shot, 0, 1-2. And now I'm going to be for par. Export 0, 1-3. Now I've created those 3 overlays. I can then put them into my timeline. And then next thing we'll do after that is add what was the score I got on that hole. So we'll minimize that right now just in case we need to go back in there. Go to our overlays. And what I'll normally do is I'll just drag and drop these really roughly on here to begin with. So they're all laid out, and then I'll drag them out. Sometimes when I originally did it, I'd only put them up for 2 seconds. 5 seconds, which is the default. Decided I didn't like that. I prefer them to be up a bit longer. So we'll drag these out. So I like the overlay to stay just up to the point when the ball goes in the hole. So I'm going to drag this to that point. This is when the ball goes in the hole. So right before it, you'll see the overlays up there. When the ball goes down, it disappears. So now we're going to add that score for the hole. I keep these on a media file on the machine. As I use them for every round, they're on a different file that I'll just go and point to. And right here, we're going to look for that file. So right here, you'll see I have the media, 50 at 50 media. I'm going to open that up. I'm going to go to my scores. I'm going to get my par and I'm going to drag it and pop it in right there. So right now, I'm going to make the putt, and par pops up, and that's as much of that as I want. So also found in that same folder, things that I use every video. I'll go back up one. You'll see I have sounds. These may be music that I've used in multiple videos. I like to hold the stuff I really like. Sometimes when my language got colorful, I would dub out the swear word and put in a duck quack. So you'll see quack at the bottom. And then occasionally, if my footage lost the soundtrack, I would add, and I always let you know if I did this, I would add the sound of a golf shot at that time, because it's really weird watching golf coverage and not hearing the ball being hit. So very occasionally that gets added as well if I'm having issues with my mics. So that would be there. So all of those sound effects that I may use, I keep in that folder that stays on my drive the whole time. Also, any video effects that I use, here is the Shankopotamus guy. He is a video effect that I've used in multiple videos. I have a pin location that will point where the pin is. So we can add that. Why don't we add that? Let's add the pin location. So I basically dragged it. I dropped it onto the timeline. And if I come back over to the timeline and say here, you're going to see the pin location is not in the place that we want it. So I'm going to drag this back over to the beginning. As you see, it's not seeing that it should be a green screen right here. So now I need to add an effect. Again, this is going to be different depending on what your software is. I'm going to type in key for keying. I'm going to add ultra key, drag and drop. My ultra key, I'm going to use my dropper, and there we go. So now I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, just so I can see what I'm doing. Still making sure I have that clip selected, which it is right here. Let me go back up to the top, and I'm going to move the position to be where the hole is. And now I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. I'm using that, and now drag this down a little bit so the shadow drops over the pin. And now you'll see it's bouncing over where the pin is. It lets us know where the pin is. Shots up, and then it disappears. Perfect. All right, so we have the scoring overlay. We have scoring of the whole overlay. We've done the shot tracer, and then we've also shown where the pin is. So we've added multiple elements to it. And now we want to add some sound to it. The sound that we're going to add is a voiceover. So I'm going to do a voiceover for this, and we'll see how that goes. So next we're going to do the voiceover. I would normally use, you can't see it's just out of frame, my nice mic for doing the voiceovers. But if I'm traveling, I'll use a local mic. I'm going to use my DJI, the first version, to record my voiceover for this one. You can use the internal mic on your laptop or whatever. The quality is not going to be there. If you're using mics to record on the course, you can use those same mics for your voicemail, for your voiceovers. Voicemail, what's that about? Voiceovers, so that works. I have a complaint about DJI stuff. What is the fascination with magnets for everything? The first time I went out with the original DJI mic, I lost one of the mics because the magnet came off. First time I went out with the Pocket 3, I had an ND filter on, magnetic ND filter. I was walking with my cart. It popped off. I lost that as well. So the fascination with things that don't click into place and using magnets is driving me freaking nuts. I love their products, but get rid of the bloody magnets. So the next thing I do, I'm now in Premiere. I did a right click, voiceover settings, and now you'll see that mic, it's looking for system microphone. That's not what we want. We want this microphone. Hello, testing 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 4. Perfect. So now it's using this mic. It's going to be a nice loud volume. And then when I'm ready to record, I'm just going to hit the voiceover record, and that's going to allow me to do my voiceover. So during this process, if you've got render in, render out, it's just going to do that section. If you want to re-record, you'll hit re-record and it'll just record back over that section. So make sure your render out, if you're doing the whole thing at once, is a little bit further than the end of your timeline. Then if you keep talking for whatever reason, you're in the middle of a thought, you don't lose that recording. Also make sure that you're not recording kind of on the line right here, because that way you would get rid of any audio you already have. So make sure you have a clean area to record in. We are at the Marina course in San Leandro. We are testing the new Pocket 3, and this is the first hole. It measures 125 yards. I've got my pitching wedge right here and my new modified updated swing, and that one felt pretty good. It's tracking towards the hole. Landed and backed up just a little bit. So we have ourselves a little birdie putt right here. I'm liking the look of that. Bit a little short. Testy 3-footer. Let's see if we can make it. That's a great way to start. Par on the first. Let's move on. Okay, so that was the voiceover recorded. Now we're going to check out the audio levels on that voiceover. We are at the Marina course in San Leandro. We are testing the new Pocket 3. So my volume levels there are a little low, and my head is right in the way. So let me... There we go. I'm going to go right there. I'm going to hit play again. And if you look at that level right next to my ear, that's a little low. We want to be like at -6, so we need to boost that audio. Easiest way in Premiere to boost that. And I'm just going to drag this a little bit higher. And this is the first hole. It measures. Give it a little bit more. This is 125 yards. I've got my pitching wedge right here and my new modified updated swing. Perfect. So that's put me in like that yellow section. If it's red, it's peaking. We don't want it to peak. If you are getting a little peaking audio, you can look at turning down the mic sensitivity, but now that's pretty perfect. It looks like we are pretty good with the volume there. So we're going to let the clip play. We are at the Marina course in San Leandro. We are testing the new Pocket 3, and this is the first hole. It measures 125 yards. I've got my pitching wedge right here and my new modified updated swing, and that one felt pretty good. It's tracking towards the hole. Landed and backed up just a little bit. Wow. So we have ourselves a little birdie putt right here. Liking the look of that. Bit a little short. Testy 3-footer. Let's see if we can make it. That's a great way to start. Par on the first. Let's move on. All right, so that sounded pretty good, but the audio still is a little tinny, and you can do this in most software. There will be a audio enhancer, so I'm making sure I have that select. I'm going to go to my essential sounds. And then in Essential Sounds, audio selected, I'm going to select my dialogue. And then right here, you have a mix amount enhancer. I'm just going to enhance it slightly. Just going to analyze. It already analyzed the clip. And now when I play this back, up just a little bit. Wow. So we have ourselves a little birdie putt right here. The sound's a lot more full. Another option you can do if you have the whole suite is take it into Adobe Audition, and then I like selecting the podcast voice selection, and that'll like clean up the audio. It boosts the levels, gives you more of a rounded rounded tone. Of course, the mic does make a big difference on this, but using the aftermarket tools, you can really help that audio. So the last thing I'm going to do is add an end card. I like to do my end cards, YouTube thumbnails in Adobe Express. Is that what it's called these days? I think it's called Adobe Express. So let's have a quick look at that right now. Yeah, Adobe Express. So this is an end card that I've been working on. Adobe Express is similar to a Canva. You could always just do all of this in Photoshop. This has them built-in templates that you can look through and choose one of those. This is one that I've done before. We'll just use this one. Of course, you can change the individual elements. This will then go on the end of your YouTube video, and then you can have a subscribe button and then show a couple of other videos that may be of interest to people. So I'm just going to go ahead and download this guy. I have end card. I'm going to drag it, drop it on the end, extend that all the way out, and then we're ready to go and do the export. If I wanted to add music, I could add music right now. I'll just drag the music down into this section right here and then reduce the volume clip of the music. There's a ton of very cool stuff that Premiere will do, that most software will do, whereas it'll auto duck, so it'll take the volume of the audio down as you're speaking and then boost it back up after you're done speaking. If you're going to do that, make sure you have big pauses before anything you say. I prefer just to have a low level of the music. So let's find some random track. Hang on. So if I go to my video effects, I'm going to go to my sounds. Of course, you do want to use royalty-free music. I personally use Storyblocks, but there's a ton of other really good places where you can download audio from. Often it's a subscription base. It's so much better than getting your video flagged. So I do suggest you do that. Pool side, yeah, let's do this guy. So I'm going to get this track. Going to add it to here.
We are at the marina course in...
And right now you'll hear it's too loud. So I'm going to bring this guy down in volume a little bit.
We are at the marina course in San Leandro. We are testing the new Pocket 3. And this is the...
And that's about right. Just going to crop that music right there. So I'm going to add a couple of keyframes to silence the music near the end. Right now I'm not seeing any keyframes. If I stretch that out, you'll see I can have a keyframe. I can add a keyframe. Going to scroll along a little bit. I'm going to add another keyframe. Take the volume down. And now if I play that last little clip,
first, let's move on.
The music will fade out. We finished the video. We're going to go ahead and export. The export button is right here. I'm hitting export. I'm going to hit right next to here where I have my presets. And I want to look for more presets. In my presets, if I start typing YouTube, I want to select the YouTube, the 4K version, which I've just done. Okay. I'm making sure I'm saving it to that projects directory that I created. And we want to give it a meaningful name. The meaningful name for this is going to be Marina. No, that's not how you spell Marina. Marina Pocket 3 V1. And then we can hit export. And that's going to export the file. Afterwards, play the file, make sure it all plays back correctly, check volume levels, everything like that. And then after that, you're going to be ready to do the upload. I hope this video helps. If you do have any questions about my workflow, definitely let me know in the comments. And I'll see you out there. Cheers, guys. Bye.